forewarned, this video goes for 33 minutes. Grab a coffee and come back and join me. This is, first of all, thank you so much for everything that you guys have. You guys are blowing my mind at the moment. I decided that I wanted to do, this is another one of those different ideas that came to me, and I thought I want to use a current collection that everyone can get their hands on, which I'm using the hexagon papers from the Vicky Bouton Peppermint Kisses collection. And as you can see, they're hexies, and I've used them as hexagons in a video last week, but this week I wanted to do something different with them. Now, my Creative Memories 1.5 inch punch is perfect to take up most of the hexagon, and I'm not wasting too much, but I'm changing the shape of what Vicky's intended. Like with these papers, they're obviously in hexy shapes. I want them in circles. Super simple. Now, as you can see, I've left this little bit in. I know it's a little bit boring, but I've left it in. I have cut chunks out of this. This layout, full disclaimer, took me nearly 8 hours to complete. So I'm not kidding. I had to go warp speed on some bits to break this down to 33-minute video, because who wants to watch this for that long? Like, it's just crazy. Okay, so I punched out all my hexies, and then what I did is I went to my Cricut, and because I don't have a circle punch that next increment up, that's the biggest punch that they have. I do have the circle cutting system, but it's still too big. So I just went to my Cricut and I punched out on my Cricut. I made them, so my hexy circles are using a CM 1.5 inch punch, and on the Cricut I cut 1.69 inches to give me a white border around my hexy punches. So can you see there? So now you can see what I'm doing. I'm creating little baubles. Now I am just, you can see here, I scribbled it down and thought, yep, a sort of a cup shape, put a bit of a loop on the top so I can thread something through the top of it. And I'm just using a scrap piece of paper from where I cut the circles out, and I've cut 25 punches. So I'm actually using a Copa cut file for this one as well. So just letting you know, the Copa cut file is going to be linked below. It is not an affiliate link, it's just a link for you to go exactly to where I bought mine from. And I think it was $2.25, something like that. Like, it wasn't very expensive. And now what I decided to do is I want my bauble toppers to be gold, because let's be honest, 99.99% of the time they're gold. So this is my paint that I make up. It's just mica powder mixed with gum arabic powder, and I just rehydrate it with some water, and it sticks down and it doesn't come off, and I get the shimmer and shine. Now, I pulled out this particular gold. I wasn't sure that I wanted it this transparent, but as I go along, you will see that I actually I like it the way it is. The reason it looks a bit transparent there is because of the angle of the camera and my lights. So once I get these all cut out, I did have to dry this because this is on American Crafts white textured cardstock. So just FYI, make sure if you do add liquid to that particular cardstock, it doesn't hold it well. So you need to be very sheer when you're adding a watercolor to it, or if you're using my recipe with the gum arabic powder and the mica powder, because you're adding water to it, it's quite a watery consistency. Make sure that you dry it, because it's not even to set it, it's just because that cardstock's a bit thinner. Now, as you can see, it took me no time. I cut these little puppies out, and then I had my toppers to my baubles. Now, what else can I tell you? This sorry, I'm just trying to see. This took me, this, this was definitely a labor of love. This is not an undertaking. This is not to be taken on by the faint of heart, let me tell you. Now, this is where you will see later on, I actually fixed this because in real life, you can see these gold lines pretty good. This is a gold Posca paint pen and you can see them pretty good. And I kept going because I was like, oh yeah, it's good. It's good, but is it great? It's good, but does it pop? They're the two questions you need to ask yourself whenever you're doing something like this on a scrapbook layout. Because for me, it looked good. It didn't pop for me. So I left this in so you can understand where the gold lines came from. But like I always say, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly. You get it when I stuff up. You get it when I have an idea that really doesn't work. You get that with me. I'm an open book. So I decided that was going to, and that's what my little bauble's going to look like. Isn't that cute? Like, seriously, super cute. So I pulled out my art glitter glue and I go to town putting these little baubles together and they look super duper cute. Now, I love all these papers, I love the Vicky Bouton sheet all in one, but when I cut them down and made these baubles out of them, oh, I loved it even more. Like, is that even possible? But yeah, absolutely love them. Now, let me tell you, at this point, I was starting to realize this is not a difficult layout. This is something that I want you to understand. This is when I say to you, when I show you something and I genuinely believe anyone of any crafting ability, if they simply follow my step-by-step process, you can do it. Anyone can do it. This one is laborious in the sense that you're doing 25 toppers, 25 hole punches, 25 circle cutouts. That side of it is full on, but it's completely doable. Now, this is the cut file that I bought from Confessions of a Paper Addict. Virginia Walker creates these. She has a team, I assume, that create these beautiful cut files. I haven't bought one from. I bought a few. I jumped on board and I bought 4 or 5 cut files from there because I haven't bought from there for a while. And this one, when I saw this one, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. And I thought, I'm going to take you guys along for the ride because it's going to be, I wanted to do this anyway, but this is one of those things where you just go, everyone needs to see this. I think this is an idea that people need to possibly, well, you don't need to, but you could possibly jump on board with. Now, I've gone over it with my alcohol marker and in black, and the decorative elements on each of these numbers, I wanted to keep it simple because they're going on top of the baubles, and the baubles are so colourful. I didn't want to then colour in the present or the Santa hat or whatever in the actual colours of those items. So I decided to go with just a gold metallic and a black number, and I think it works. Let me know what you think. It's completely your call. Now, what am I actually doing on this layout? At the moment, I'm creating these baubles. Why am I creating 25 baubles? If you saw my my take on a December daily, you got the idea that you can create these little windows, these little flaps that, and these little windows for me, they've got my ideas of what I believe Christmas to be, the things that bring me joy for Christmas. What I ended up doing on this particular layout is I got my 3 kids this year, 2023. I wanted them to write down 25 things that make Christmas for them. And they all had similar answers, but they were all similar to each their own. Like Taylor, obviously she's 24, so she's had significantly more Christmases than the other two. But some of the things that you and I, as parents, think that we are creating Christmas memories for our children, you'd be very, very surprised as to what your kids take from the Christmas experience. For me, Christmas is seeing the joy on my kids' faces, the food, getting with family, all that sort of thing. You kind of expect your kids to say, it's about the presents. It's about, did I get exactly what I wanted? Did I get... This is kind of, because they're kids. They're kids. They're honest. I just want their honest answers. So I wanted to ask them that, and I was very, very surprised that some of their answers... I'll actually give you some of their answers. Believe it or not, one of my kids... Now, I'm an Aussie in Queensland, Australia. We've never had a cold... I think we had one Christmas that was a little bit cool. But we've never had a cold Christmas. But one of her answers was snow and icicles remind me of Christmas. And that's because everything Christmas related is portrayed with snow. So, that was something for her. Cheesecake. Like, we have cheesecake throughout the year, but for Angela, that's one of the things that reminds her of Christmas. And sticky tape. There you go. Would you expect your kid to say, the Christmas experience, what makes it Christmas for me? Sticky tape. All the sticky tape. We can't imagine that is what our kids would take away from Christmas, right? But she's 15. That's what she thinks of. So... let me see. I'm just having a quick look to see if there's anything that sort of jumps out of me with the others. Jennifer, one of her things was togetherness. Togetherness, stars, lollies, seeing Christmas lights, driving around and seeing the Christmas lights is something they really love. Something Taylor has put forward is wrapping presents to Christmas music. That's something that she likes doing now. What else? Oh, Santa visiting us in the street. So here in Caboolture, we have a Santa that is sponsored by our Apex Lions Club, and they drive around with this big siren, and he's in a giant sleigh on the back of a fire engine, and he throws out lollies to the children. So they're hard-boiled peppermint lollies, and that's something that they love. So what you can see me doing here is I've printed these thoughts that the children have had, and I've put them next to their initial on... I don't make you watch me do all of this bit, but so I do skip over this bit, but you can see I'm just adding them to the back of the bauble. Now, then you're probably saying to yourself, well, how are you going to see that down the track? Stick around. You're going to want to stick around. Even if you don't have 33 minutes right now, pause it here and come back to it, because you really want to see how it comes together in the end. Now, that's when things got full on. This is where I say this is not for the faint of heart, okay? This is where I debated whether I was going to use glossy accents, acetate, or maybe embossing powder. This embossing powder that I'm using here is the ultra thick. It's the Ranger ultra thick embossing powder in clear. This stuff is, when I say it's not for the faint of heart, it really isn't, because it's thick. It takes a lot of heat to melt it and to keep it nice and glossy. And the reason I put it in this container, and did I get this everywhere? Absolutely I did. Did I make an absolute mess? Dang straight I did. By the time I got all of these done, and I don't make you sit here and watch all of it, as you can see, I've skipped, fast forwarded, I've only got 2 to go. And I use a pair of tongs so I don't burn my hand, and I'm using my ink dauber to get the sticky on there to start with, and I just keep dipping it back in. While it's hot and liquidy like that and molten, you can just dip it back into the embossing powder, and boom bada bing, it sticks to it, and you just keep adding layers till you get it to the thickness that you desire. Now, my heat gun is on its last legs. I did buy another one, but it doesn't seem to be anywhere near as hot as that one, and anyway, it's a thing that I've got to look at down the track. But the ultra thick, this is where I start to try and clean up and then realize just press pause. So this is where I come back, and this is where I realized that the toppers, I didn't like them gold. They didn't pop enough. So I came in with my black Posca paint pan in my fine line, and I went back over the gold, and that looks so much better. So it's exactly the same as what I did with the gold, but I'm doing it with the black. So I did this in real time. This is how slow I am, guys. This is real time. So that is my toppers, and this is where I'm just smashing them out. I've got to tell you, it was an absolute, it was so good. Something that I love doing with my scrapbook pages is when something's repetitive and you get that really bulk assembly line style of thing. Like, I love that. Now, I then realized I pulled out the wrong punch. That's a heart punch. I wanted the circle punch to punch a little hole in the top piece that I left that little bit sticking up. And this is I think it's a 1/8 of an inch hole punch. Man, I've been talking for a while, guys. You're well over halfway now, okay? Just FYI. So I then, after putting all the holes in, then I cut these strings. I know they're way too long, but I did that in case they got tangled and I had to cut my way out of it. So I went ahead and I popped some twine. This is just crocheting cotton, guys. I find the crochet cotton that you can get from the $2 shop works really well on something like this. So, you know, give it a go. I would be really interested if someone gives this a go, because it's such a good idea. You don't need to, I mean, you could, if you don't want to have them turned around, you could just draw baubles onto a page and write on them, and then, you know, watercolor them, or use colored pencils on them, or get the kids to color them, you know, or you could do fingerprints. So that's another idea that you could do. You could do your children's fingerprints and get them to do them in all different colors all over a page, and then go back and write their thing, you know, turn the fingerprints into light bulbs and join them all together with one long string that's all twisty and curly. And, you know, that could work too. There's a stack of different ways of doing this. I wanted this particular thing. This page is not about photos. This page is about the memories of 2023. That's what they are. So I decided at this point, now this is where it gets fun. That is my A4 Poppy Crafts brand double-sided adhesive. Yes, I am making my entire 12 by 12 sheet sticky. And you can see there where I've used a couple of odds and ends, and I'm just making it work so that I've got sticky over the whole thing. You can see the ribbon off to the side of me. We all have ribbon. We all have, you know, when you go through, years ago, I used to go around on the Boxing Day sales, and all the craft ribbon that was Christmas ribbon, I would grab it and I've got a stash of it. I really do. And I don't really use it on anything other than on my scrapbook pages. I used to use it a lot in my mini albums, and that's why I have a lot of the thin stuff. But I decided that why don't I use some of the ribbon on a scrapbook background? We always do it with paper, but why not use actual ribbon and stick it down? Now you can see now why I have put the entire piece sticky, because if you try and do that with wet glue, your ribbon's it's going to soak through your ribbon and it's going to look weird, right? But if you've got double-sided tape, you could do this with smaller double-sided tape. You could get 1-inch tape. You could get, I know you can get 2-inch wide tape, but I don't have any of that. And to be honest, I'm down to 1/4 inch and 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape at the moment, and I haven't bought any more because I'm like, no, if I buy more, I never use the really thin stuff. So that's why I haven't bought any more of that. And I'm just going through, you can see here, just doing a recurring pattern all the way through to cover this entire background. It's busy. It's very busy. But that's what I want it to be. I want this page to really stand out when it's in my scrapbook. This is an interactive page, and it is going to be one of those pages that they have to slide out from the protector to flip the baubles over to read what they thought of in 2023. That's just the way I wanted to do it on this particular layout, and I think I really think it works. So let me know, one, is this video way too long? Is this video ridiculous for you? This is not my usual length of video, and this is not, it's not really something that I'll probably do a lot of again. But, you know, if it's something that you really like, I love doing this sort of in-depth stuff. And yeah, I guess I just don't like it because I don't like talking to myself for 33 minutes. That is probably the hardest thing I've had to get used to with YouTube. But I'm heading into my 2nd year, guys. No, correction, I'm heading into my 3rd year. So I've nearly been doing this for 2 years on YouTube. You know, it's 20 years plus doing scrapbooking, but yeah. So I put some tape on the back here, and this is how I deal with my excess bits. Now, if you don't have ribbon or you don't want to use ribbon, by all means, use paper, use your cardstock. You could do this border with anything. You don't have to do ribbon. You could do it with material. You could do it with, if you've made some Christmas stockings this year, you might have some leftover material. You might want to incorporate that into the layout. You might want to, there's so many different things. What I'm trying to do is give you a stack of ideas that you can go, actually, that resonates with me and I'm going to try it like that. Or there's just so many different ways that you can pull things together yourself from what you have at your place. So now we're 10 minutes from the end, guys. So we're getting there. I did leave this on here because I wanted to show you that you fold it one way, and then when you get to the corner, so the corner is a little bit fussy, I just fold each side down and then fold. It's hard to explain. I don't even know how to explain it. But if you want me to do a quick short, you can always slow this video down and watch how I did do that corner, those corners. But the wider satin ribbon was a little bit harder to negotiate and get it to do what it's told. It was annoying, but that's okay. So now you can see I'm just adding some double-sided tape to the back of the ribbon, and I will be using wet glue as well to hold this down, because it's obviously, now how cool does that look? That looks awesome. That could be a printed paper. I was positive I pulled those bits in because I thought, I'm sure I've got a Merry Christmas in there, but I must have already used it. Now, I brought back over my baubles. You can see them all there. Now, you can see that they're all the same length at the moment. Obviously, that's not going to work. I didn't need that much that longer length in the this was really hard to do, guys. This was probably the hardest part of all. To get the baubles to all different lengths, but leave me some space to put a title down, but don't get the strings all tied up either. Like it took me a minute to do this, let me tell you. And because once it touched that double-sided tape, it kind of was already, it was attached, it's down, it's done. But because the base circles, the baubles themselves weren't attached to anything, it made it very, very difficult to do this. So then I thought, okay, if I tape on top of it, they're not going to move from where they are now. But now I... So then I had to try and go along, and I had to attach it to the back of the... to the back of there, and it... Look, it looks easy when it's in fast forward. Believe me, I was cursing. I was like, you stupid woman, why were you even thinking of trying to do this? This is not working. This is not easy at all. So, and I will preface in saying, each step is super simple. This one, you've got to have a third set of hands somehow to get it to sit right. I got it to sit right. I attached that bit down, and all my baubles, I tried to leave a space up into the top left where I could place a title. And my kids came in at this point and they were like, oh my God, that is cool. They were really, sometimes they love what I do, but I think a lot of the time it's like, oh, yep, another page. Oh, yep, you did another page. Oh, that's pretty cute. Oh, that was a cool idea. And this one was just, it has the wow factor. So I love that one. Now, I go through, you can see blobs of glue. Don't panic, I'm not wrecking this. It comes together. So I'm trying very hard. I need the strings down so far. I need them to be attached to the board a little bit, because otherwise I just want the bottom of them to turn around, not the entire string, or it's just going to end up in a big knot and it's not going to be interactive and it won't have any type of longevity. It's just going to be terrible. So as you can see there, so I've put the three things. So there's a J, a T, and an A. So obviously my kids know that. And yeah, so then I'm like, okay, I thought about my blobs. I wanted some bling on here. There has to be bling somewhere. So I decided that I'm going to come in with these. They're clear, but they've got gold on the back. So they're sparkly. They're really, really sparkly, these Diamantes. I got these ones from AliExpress. And they're so blingy, and I absolutely love them, but they've got a backing on them. So I've got some that are completely clear and they are super sparkly, and these ones are sparkly too, but they've got a background. Oh, sorry if you heard that person blowing their nose. And yeah, so they've got the gold backing on them so you can't see straight through them. That's what I needed on this layout. So I go through popping these down on the glued part that I've added glue to hold. Once that glue dries, I had a look at it this morning. These things are going nowhere. They are dead set. They are secured beautifully. So this is where I decided to just put a random number of these blingy bits on top of these ribbons. You can see there, it just looks like sparklies, maybe on a Christmas tree or something, the sparkles. That's what I was going for. So that worked beautifully. And then, of course, I then had to, because I had in the back of my head that I still had a Merry Christmas chippy piece from Crafty Divas in my stash. I thought I had stashed one, and I didn't. So then I had to come up with a title, and I thought, okay, there's so much going on this layout that this needs to be a super duper simple title. So I wanted to do a double border on it just to give your eye a little bit of something to just calm down. And so I did a black and a white border around. Now the base that I'm working on, I cut 1/2 inch off both sides, so it's only 11.5 inches. Then the black one is 11 3/4 inches, and the white one is 12 by 12. So you end up with a really nice border. And yeah, so I've got the double-sided tape and the art glitter glue holding this together, and I'm absolutely confident it is not going anywhere. So did pull out the wood tag you saw there for 1/2 second, and nope, those stickers are not going to work. So then I decide, okay, they need to be black because there's needs to be a third lot of black on here. I've got black on my numbers, black on my border, I need a third black bit. So that's where I come in with my black thickers. These are called hardcover. I will have everything listed in the description below in case you want to find any of this for yourself. I will also have a link in the description for the Copa cut file for the numbers in case you want to grab that one. So that's pretty much, we're just about there, guys. If you've stuck it out this long, I sincerely appreciate it. If you have stuck it out this long, I would really love it if you comment the word Christmas in the description below, and that will tell me how many people made it this far into my video. I realized this was a really, really, really long video, and I don't normally do them this long, but I just felt this, I couldn't cut this down anymore because I didn't want it to look like smoke and mirrors. I wanted you to realize that it is doable, and you can do it. You can do it, and it can work, and I absolutely love it. So there's my title. It's not in your face. Yes, there's no photos on this, but it is an awesome memory. Here's the close-up for you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave me the word Christmas if you've made it this far in the comments, and I will be back tomorrow with a video, but it will on Monday with a video, I should say, and it will be a lot shorter. It will not be this long. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. And these are my little baubles. They're still a little bit wet, so I'm not being too rough with them at this point, but I absolutely adore them. And there you go. See, that's how I printed it on the back. And they're all shiny and shimmery and sparkly, and I love them. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll be back to talk to you real soon. Bye for now, guys.